Anyway, the second story, the thing I kind of wanted to talk about even more is a person whose tag is Andrew Ryan, and I jokingly refer to this dude as like my father, and a lot of it because he's like my Smash dad in a way where it's like at least like that's how I see him, you know. And then I don't know at what point that I thought this, but I would always tell people this, and they would be like, "No, dude, you're so wrong," and I'd be like, "No, trust me." But at one point, I thought his wife looks like Bayonetta for some reason. Not all the time, but like sometimes I'd look at his wife and I'd be like, she kind of is giving Bayonetta. I don't know. Again, everyone didn't believe me when I said that to them, but um, the reason that Andrew fascinates me is that, well, again, like I'm sure I know he's like smart and that he is a hard worker, but like he's one of those people that like didn't own Smash or like didn't really play unless he went to tournaments, or like at least he didn't seem to grind or any of that like nearly as much as anyone else at his skill level or above or below his skill level like me. Like I'm out here like again, and he was playing longer than me at the time, right? Like I came in the scene and he was already playing, I'm pretty sure, for a couple seasons, but so he was playing before me, but still I was like, how is he this good when he's not even like playing Wi-Fi? Like, you know, at one point I was like convinced that like he was like a fucking PGR level player. I told Winston, I was like, dude, we have like a PGR player here in Tucson. Like, like I thought Andrew Ryan was like that fucking good. Um, he jokes, or I joke. I don't mean this in any negative way, but in Smash 4 he was a tier whore, whether he was trying to be or not, and that's okay. Like we love tier whores, so like you know I'm not judging him for that. But he, I think he swore that he wasn't, which is funny, even though like to my knowledge he played pre-patch Diddy and then custom Villager, um, and then this is when you know I got into playing him and going to tournaments is when he was you know when Ryu came out and he started playing Ryu. Later he would end up playing Bayonetta and then going back to Ryu in Smash 4. In Ultimate he was a Snake player for a bit and played some Isabelle when he said he quote wanted to play a bad character, and then he played some fucking Isabelle or something. But he was the best Snake at the Nest matchup that I've ever played. He just dash attacked me the whole time. It was great. I was like, dude, why don't other Snakes just do this? But in Smash 4, and again, most of the time I would play him in bracket. We'll start with the Ryu phase, right? I was so sure. I thought he was like carried by Ryu. I was like, if he played any other character, I'd beat him. Like, I thought Ryu was so ridiculous. Blah 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 blah. Like, I'm dying to shore you. Blah blah blah. So I came up with counterplay for him specifically, or like not counterplay, but just like I would try to pick up new characters to try to beat him. Like I was secondary in Luigi at the time at one point where I would just play Ness and Luigi. Eventually, I would drop Luigi in secondary Zero Suit. And I think the Zero Suit's the first time that I beat him ever in a set. I don't remember if it was a money match or a local bracket set. I think it was a local set, but the first set I ever took off him in Smash 4, I was playing Zero Suit versus Ryu. I actually don't think. Oh my god, I'm a fraud. This is like the forgotten Bayo loss. Like, I used to be like, oh my god, I only lost like 2 Bayo players ever, but he's kind of a third one. That, like, but that's the thing, and I'd tell people this. I'd be like, dude, this dude doesn't even know how to combo with Bayo. He's just hitting me to like 100% and then witch timing me and then killing me. Like, he's not even doing. He was playing pre-patch, like pre-patch Bayo, and he's not doing like death combos or anything. He doesn't really know how. He's just fucking outplaying you and reading you and hitting you and then witch timing you and then you die. He never comboed people off the top. But yeah, I guess he is the third Bayo player that I had lost to ever in Smash 4. But his Ryu would like piss me off. I only played the Bayo twice in bracket, I think, once or twice, and I'm pretty sure I lost both times. I think I beat it in a money match one time because I used to be a money match fiend, but I don't really remember that much about money matches because they don't matter to me. They never really have, so I don't take notes on all that like that much, you know. But I was like, dude, like this Ryu, like I can't beat Andrew Ryan. at one point I was trying Zelda and like Smash 4 Zelda and Wario. Well, Wario was mainly for Sonic, but like I was trying everything. I was trying to like Peach Infinite people for some time in Smash 4. I was practicing Meta Knight ladders on Sheik. Like I really tried a lot of like quote unquote quick easy fixes instead of just like learning the matchup. But like I was still like trying something. I was like, okay, this is probably a better idea, and if I just get good at doing this, then that'll, you know. I do that a lot for him, where I would like try new things, like completely new things with a lot of characters, just to try to figure out how to beat him. Eventually, I did kind of get better than him, even though I didn't really think so at the time. I kind of like towards the end, you know, like me and Silver were. Even though I don't really know if this is true, at least for me, it was for Silver. But I was like, when I started to like beat him, like sometimes towards the end, like, and he was getting seated lower because he was playing less. Like, I don't know, but for a while, like, I don't even want to call him my bracket demon because he wasn't that. He was better than me. He was like my dad. He was like my mentor and like not a coach because he didn't really give good advice about the game usually. um, but he was just cool and he was fucking raw and and he was a nice dude, you know. He really just. And again, some people are good at hiding things of how they feel, and I don't always know. But to me, it seemed like he was just having fun, and that he happened to be good at it somehow. Even though like he wasn't putting in the levels of effort that a lot of other people were. Like that's not how it works. Like just because you put in more time doesn't mean you're gonna be better at something. He was just a cool guy who happened to somehow know. He just happened to have really good fucking fundamentals or something, I guess. I don't really know. I think the highest he was ranked in Arizona, probably second or third, and he was ranked like for like at least most of the first half of Smash 4, I would imagine. At one point, he just he didn't like traveling to Phoenix at all, and he did for the monthlies for a while, but then he would just start only going to Tucson events and then start essentially just not showing up at all. And then he started showing up more again when Ultimate came out, but he quickly got bored of that and just stopped playing Ultimate within probably like a year, probably. Um, it was just so like I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. I was like, how is this dude doing this? And again, I've since met, and again, like, well, I've met a lot of people that I've thought this about since then, but he was the first person that I would meet that I was just genuinely impressed that like what I believed his skill should be just did not match what it was, and like what he's like someone that kind of like in a way just defied my own expectations of what is normal or like how things work. And that's like cool to me when that happens. Like when people just impress me in ways that I'm like, I can't believe you're this good at this, or like you're this knowledgeable about this one thing. It's impressive because some people don't even know that they are sometimes, or they don't know how really impressive what they're doing is. And he was impressive to me. What's interesting is that because he was like this, he did have his own bracket demons. He could never beat Krupp from what I remember. And again, Krupp is insanely good from what I know, but he was beating everyone around Krupp, like at least sometimes. But the thing is that some people, and maybe this is still a thing with Falcon, some people like Andrew Ryan have issues with speed. Just like fast, really fast, strong characters. Because even though Falcon isn't like top tier in Smash 4 Ultimate, like if you're trying to play like a much slower game, like in a much slower pace and read people and like feel things out and everything, you're kind of gonna get run over by good Falcon players if you're not ready for that like pace of gameplay. And that's what I believe happened to like, and it wasn't just Krupp, but that was like one of the main examples I remember because there's not many people that like would actively shut down Andrew Ryan like that. But he really did not like Falcon. Or Andrew Ryan. Andrew would just lose to Krupp, and he'd be like, dude, like, Falcon's so dumb. Like, why can't I... I was like, I don't know. It was so cool. He was cool, and he would just fuck up a lot of people. Again, I don't think he ever traveled to tournaments. Again, it was hard to even get him to even leave Tucson. I don't know where he is now, even. Last I think I know of him, a couple years ago, I think he moved across the country to write a book, and he moved across the country with his wife to live somewhere else and write, which is really fucking raw. But I would almost get frustrated before, not like at him, but like in the way that I'm like, dude, you're so good and you could be so much better too. Like if you just put your mind to it, or you practiced a little more, you traveled. I would always try to get him to go to events. I'd be like, dude, you have to come to this Phoenix event. You have to come to this monthly. You have to come to this event. And he would always be like, he would give me excuses, right? He'd be like, he's like, oh, I can't. Like, that day is like laundry day with my wife. Like, I'm busy that day. And I'm like, you can fucking put off laundry day to come to this monthly. Now I don't really think like that anymore, but like, I still agree somewhat with the idea of what I was saying, where it's like, if you wanted to, like, you know, you don't have to do some of these things. But I understand, like, why you wouldn't want to, especially, like, if that's not what you like. Like, if you, like, I get it now, where it's like, if you really just only just enjoyed playing the game at Tucson locals, and, like, you didn't really care for anything beyond that, then, like, yeah, more power to you. Like, you know? Like, you know what you like, and don't let other people force you to do something that you know you already don't like, you know? Even though, like, that was one stop. Wow. You know, again, like, even though I would always be like, dude, please show up, like, you're so fucking talented, like, later on I was just like, even though, like, even when I was, like, catching up to him, I was like, dude, like, you're fucking talented at this game, and you don't even play like that, you could be much better, and you're already great. But he didn't care, which is cool to me, and which I didn't get at the time to a degree. I didn't get that somebody could be this talented at something like Smash and just not care to be even greater when they easily could be. I get it much more now, but Andrew Ryan, he was one of the first people that like pushed me. Again, I don't want to call him like a rival, maybe in like a Pokemon type of way, where like he's clearly the superior one to me, and like even though he's like technically my rival, or like he's clearly better than me, but in the way that like I would feel like he would just push me as a player, right? Like I would like nobody else in Tucson at the time, where I would lose to them and be like, oh, like just only thinking about like how the fuck do I beat this player? Even other people that I would consistently lose to, I would be much closer usually, or I would feel like I was making progress. With him, I was a lot of times very unsure, even though I knew it was very obvious that, you know, he was just reading my habits and playing reactive in a space that was effective for, you know, me and my characters and my playstyle. Regardless, it wasn't that I just struggled with him, because again, he was like a top 3 player in the state for a good amount of time. So it's like I wasn't the only one getting folded by Andrew Ryan, even though he was fucking folding me a lot, you know? There's a lot of, and I'm going to tell, you know, later, more people like that, because there's some I have in mind. People that don't really know how talented they truly are, not just at Smash, but just like, that's the way I've seen it in some of these people, where I'm like, I look at how talented they are in Smash just naturally, or how they learn certain concepts, or just playing the game, and then I see that there's similar, or well, this is another example. I'm not going to talk about this person that much because I would rather save it for another day, but Psyche is like this too, and like Silver as well, where Psyche, like, he's just one of the people that, and again, I know Psyche puts in a lot of work, comparatively to like someone like Andrew Ryan, but Psyche is just kind of good at everything he touches, and he's just very naturally gifted at games or things in general. And I think those people, again, there's a chance that maybe they're just a little bit more gifted, but I think these people just also are this way because they probably just know how to learn, or at least how they learn. And some people like Andrew Ryan, I feel like maybe they don't realize it. Maybe even people like Psyche don't realize it. But I think that's what sets these people apart, is that like, again, I don't think very many people are like at a scale where they're like, oh, like prodigy savant level of like gifted. Like like it just doesn't happen that often. However, whether people realize it or not, these people are good at learning things that a lot of people are not good at learning certain concepts, and that applies to Smash and not Smash. And I think sometimes you can see parallels. I would always say to people that sometimes you could look at someone's Smash Bros habits and like they would have like similar issues in fucking real life. Like for me, for a while, I was hasty in real life and I was impatient. It showed in my gameplay in Smash. I would just run in all the time. I wouldn't really wait. I would just fucking run at people with nests and swing my head at them and hope I won. And sometimes I did, you know, and sometimes I didn't. Um, but when I realized everything, including fucking Smash, is more complex than that, it gets a lot more interesting, a lot more fun, in my opinion. Because, like, you could play a game for 10 years and not get any better. But I don't think anyone is untalented or... Because, again, there's this is the scale. This is one extreme, this is another extreme. People lie everywhere in between the scale. So the odds that you are on either end of this extreme is very, very unlikely. Your odds are you're somewhere in the middle range, or like, you know? So odds are you're not extremely gifted, and odds are you're not extremely like that, like you're not incapable of doing anything, even though some people think they are. I think most people are more capable than they believe they are. It really is. Well, it's a lot of things, but it's mostly a mindset thing. I think people don't realize that they're capable of so much more than they think they might be. Even though it's just hard. But hard doesn't mean that you can't fucking do it. It just means it's a little... It takes more time than people are comfortable with, and it's hard, you know? I'm gonna stop there.